So how long should I have grace for relapses? So we're both going to talk about this when it comes to infidelity, porn addiction, anything that would cause betrayal trauma in your relationship.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a good place to start.
It's a good place to start. Yeah, it certainly will help you understand what you do if someone else does something else. The realistic aspect of it, which is, I would love him never to do this again. But the chances are that in the progress of working through recovery, there is going to be relapses, there's going to be mistakes, but you need to decide in yourself, what's the mistake that I can take? What is the mistakes that I will not tolerate? And if these are continual patterns, then I'm done.
I think ultimately what we want is honesty.
Right.
We understand that there's going to be relapses. Like most of us have at this point understood that this is an addiction, just like it would be for alcohol or drugs. Like this is an addiction. So you have to have the mindset and the expectation that one of these other areas of addiction would relapse. So it's not a hard thought process to understand that there's more than likely going to be relapses with this. However,
so with this question, do you think that she is more upset than that she had to discover it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us are. I think that there's wanting that honesty of like, hey, I'm struggling with this,
Yeah.
or hey, I just saw something on my computer and I need to confess this to you. That can be difficult though in the beginning. It can be a definite trigger.
Yeah, but honesty in the beginning is awkward for someone who hasn't processed honesty.
Correct.
In many ways, my honest blurbs to you were at the worst timing, were way too detailed, were hurtful to you.
They were.
But it was a stepping stone to me being more honest, which is what we ultimately got to and want to maintain. So
absolutely,
it's difficult in the beginning. But so you just
it's
want
necessary.
honesty.
It's necessary to have that honesty, because without it, there's not a relationship, and you're going to be more hurt if you discover it. So in our link in bio, there is a boundary sheet that I created. I think it's a very helpful tool for many of you. Many of you are going and downloading that. It really helped me in the beginning. My therapist told me to make these boundaries, but didn't give me a sheet, so I made a tool because I'm a very visual learner. But anyway, it starts off with your yellow boundaries. And so your yellow boundaries are, this is an area for you to rebuild trust. So that might look like, hey, if you relapse, please come and tell me.
Yeah.
Please be honest with me. If you have a temptation to chat with other women online, please come and talk to me about that. That's an area for you to rebuild trust with me. That's honesty. Two, then it goes into your gray boundary. So the gray boundary might be, hey, if I discover that this is happening, we're going to have a problem. There's going to be a consequence, because this is where I draw a line. And that might look like, if this happens, we're going to have to go talk to our therapist about it. If this happens again, I might take some time away. Or if this happens again, I am done with the relationship, whatever that looks like to you. And then ultimately it leads into our red boundaries, whereas I'm done with the relationship and we will be divorcing, which is not a place any of us really want to get to. We want the relationship to work. However, we can't make them change.
Right.
We can't,
But you want to see progress, which is where those boundaries come into play, where it's like, okay, we're countering the same thing. I can't, as a woman, continue to just take these hits when I'm not seeing any progress from you. So you need to get into a program. You need to get a therapist that you see once a week. If you're unwilling to do these things, the patterns are going to continue, and we're going to hit red boundary pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's important to have those things for your sanity, but work on it and know yourself and know what you can tolerate. Work with a therapist if you can, or we'll help coach you on that as well. There's a lot of different things. But ultimately what it needs to be is you're telling someone who has caused pain to help fix it.
They present the boundaries. I don't necessarily think either that it's like a mutual agreement. This is something you're handing them and saying, these are my expectations. And you had talked about earlier about that looking like an invitation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the guilt portion of it. Like, oh, well, I'm ruining this. Well, no, this person chose to put you in this situation. Now that you're in this situation, it does seem unfair that you now have to put all these rules and protections in place. But it is really you growing in your integrity and in your virtue to say, I won't tolerate this. And by you stepping away or drawing that line, it invites that other person to, and I did hear someone say this on one of my things, and it was amazing, because it's like it invites them to join you, and invites them to come alongside you.
Right.
And if they don't do that, they can choose that as well, but you are still living in your integrity. And
Yes.
that's really what you're not going to compromise that by just getting beat down. You're going to say, here's my next step.
Absolutely.